Tonight, a Saskatchewan mother whose 13-year-old daughter died of a fentanyl overdose in Regina says she'll never get justice, but she can warn others. Also, the opposition slams the provincial government after a new report shows that we have the worst surgical wait times in the country. Plus, how texting the thumbs up emoji in response to a question cost a Saskatchewan farmer $82,000.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, July 6th, game day, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. The mother of a 13-year-old girl who died of a fentanyl overdose in Regina is speaking out. She waited nearly 6 months for criminal charges in her daughter's death. Now that those charges will never come, she's sharing the girl's story as a cautionary tale. Laura Sharpaletti reports.
A loving, goofy little girl. That's how Rianne Fazakis described her 13-year-old daughter, Presley Wilczek.
And she was the most amazing kid. She was ambitious. She loved her sport. She wasn't scared to go out and do anything new.
That included football, which Presley jumped into with both feet just a few years ago. But Presley had negative influences in her life as well. Fazakis says her daughter matured fast and had a hard time clicking with children her own age. She hung out with older kids instead, skipped school, and smoked pot.
It's a problem, like her best friends were more like 15, 14, 15, and some, for all I know, were older. And that was the thing. That was her influence, that she was being, vulnerable, pretty easily persuaded to do these things.
Fazakis' daughter was staying with her father in Regina on January 8th. He dropped her off at what she said was a friend's house. On January 11th, Fazakis heard Presley hadn't been seen in 3 days. After a frantic search, she filed a missing persons report with Regina Police. Police found Presley at a house on the 600 block of King Street. She had died of a fentanyl overdose.
And I just dropped right there. Dropped to my knees, like I couldn't breathe. Like it was just, it was definitely the worst day of my life.
Police say a person who was inside the house was their primary suspect in the girl's death. Fazakis later learned it was a 23-year-old man who met Presley online. He
found her through media, and vulnerable little girl said, make some money. This was definitely a drug house. It was definitely a drug house.
Fazakis wanted police to lay charges against the suspect right away. Police say they were working on it. Then, in June, the man overdosed and died. Fazakis is disappointed she'll never face him in court and is calling for changes to strengthen laws around drug trafficking to a minor. The province says that's federal jurisdiction, but Saskatchewan would be supportive of and encourages the federal government to consider whether existing laws could be strengthened or new ones created to further protect minors from coming into contact with illicit drugs. Fazakis wants people to remember that Presley was only 13 and still trying to figure things out like any other child. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
British Columbia is bringing in a new tool to try to help prevent overdose deaths. It's a device that's being installed in more than 2,000 supportive housing units in the province. Janella Hamilton has more on how the device works and why it's being called vital.
With a click of a button, this device could save lives.
I'm going to use my substance, and so I press start.
It's called Lifeguard Lite, an innovative new tool that allows residents living in SROs or social housing to set a timer before using illicit drugs alone in their room. Once the countdown is complete, residents hit "I'm okay," but if that button isn't pressed in time, an alert will be sent to building staff and 911.
These people are getting help immediately.
Sinclair says as a former drug user and SRO manager, she knows the benefits of a device like this. She remembers what she calls a traumatic day in 2021 when she went to check on a resident named Joy Phelps, knocked on her door, and no one answered.
I believe 10,000% that if Joy would have had this in her room, she wouldn't have died.
Data from the BC Coroner Service shows more than 12,000 people have been killed by toxic drugs since 2016, many of them dying inside shelters, SROs, hotels, or supportive housing. 61% of people who died during the pandemic were using alone.
Often people, even if they have a safe consumption site to use a substance, want to be alone in their room, and there's privacy and there's safety.
Her organization runs 14 supportive housing buildings in Vancouver. She says there is at least one overdose death per month.
The overdose crisis has taken a truly enormous toll.
Lifeguard first developed a similar phone app in 2020. Since then, 69 lives have been saved through the program. But not everyone who lives here has a phone, which is why these wall-mounted devices are so critical.
We're saving people's lives, and it's peace of mind for staff and residents.
Right now, devices are being installed at Vancouver's Portland Hotel, on Vancouver Island, and in the interior. The province says it is aware of the Lifeguard Lite device, but did not say whether it plans to pay to install them in all public housing units. Sinclair says with the unregulated drug supply becoming increasingly more toxic and unpredictable, devices are needed in every unit across the province.
Every time that button's pressed and someone doesn't die, that's a family member who doesn't have to get that phone call. That's a staff member who doesn't have to stand at that door and, call the coroner.
Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
The opposition NDP slammed the government today after a new report shows Saskatchewan's surgical wait times are the worst in the country. The NDP highlighted new data from the Canadian Institute for Health Information. It shows the median wait time for knee replacements in Saskatchewan last year was 466 days. That is more than double the national average.
These aren't just numbers. These are Saskatchewan people. People who are waiting in pain for procedures that should have been delivered months ago. Saskatchewan also has the worst hospital waits in Canada for hip replacements. The median wait time in Saskatchewan was 309 days, longer than every other province and nearly double the national average of 164 days.
Just over a month ago, the Saskatchewan government was touting a different record for surgeries. Between April 2022 and this year, over 90,000 surgical procedures were performed, the highest ever recorded in the province in a one-year period. That included 1,600 hip and knee replacements. Saskatchewan's privacy commissioner is asking a cabinet minister and the government to apologize to an opposition MLA. This comes after a private email was read out in the legislature.
Mr. Speaker, I have some supportive quotes I'd like to read into the record. The first quote being, I believe that the Saskatchewan government should phase out running any liquor stores. I honestly believe it's time to rip the Band-Aid off.
Last year, the minister responsible for SLGA, Laurie Carr, read an email in question period from NDP MLA Nathaniel Teed. The email had been sent by Teed about a year before he was elected. In it, Teed expressed support for privatizing SLGA stores. He later criticized the government's decision as an MLA. Privacy Commissioner Ronald Kruzeniski says the government breached Teed's privacy. The opposition leader says she hopes the decision sends a message.
I respect the ruling. I also expect that that ruling be carried forward and be kept in mind when dealing with private correspondence of citizens in this province, regardless of whether they're elected or not.
The Privacy Commissioner also found that government communication staff shared a document with the media that had Teed's personal information. The government has apologized for that privacy breach, but it says that disclosing Teed's opinion shared in his letter was in the public interest. A Swift Current judge has ordered a farmer to pay tens of thousands of dollars for the use of an emoji. If you've ever sent a thumbs up over text, pay attention to this story from Alex Soloduca.
Okay, you have to pay for coffee.
Thumbs up emoji.
Hey, did you know that we just entered a potentially legally binding contract?
What are you talking about?
Well, the thumbs up emoji recently cost a farmer $82,000. A grain buyer had texted a Saskatchewan farmer saying he wanted to purchase 86 tons of flax at $17 a bushel in the fall. The farmer in Swift Current replied with a thumbs up emoji. By November, the flax hadn't been delivered and the price of the crop had increased. The buyer said that he had sent multiple contracts to the farmer in the past and that they'd always been fulfilled, so he assumed they had an agreement. But the farmer said that he actually didn't have time to read the contract and had only texted back to say he received it. A Court of King's Bench judge ruled that in this case, the thumbs up emoji was equivalent to the signature on a contract. Therefore, the farmer had breached that contract. The judge pointed to a dictionary.com definition of the thumbs up emoji, which said it's used to express assent, encouragement, or approval in digital communication. The farmer's lawyer argued that allowing the thumbs up emoji to work as a signature in this case would open the floodgates for other cases. Justice Timothy Keene acknowledged that the case is novel, but said this appears to be the new reality in Canadian society, and courts will have to be ready to meet the new challenges that may arise from the use of emojis and the like.
The world's changed a lot. The world's changed a lot with digital communications. People don't understand the consequences of digital communications sometimes, but they're the same as any other form of communication. You're bound by what you write. And even if what you write is an emoji, it's a mark. That mark can be relied on in a court as your consent to an agreement.
The farmer was ordered to pay damages plus interest. I guess sometimes emojis hold a little more weight than you think. Alex Saladuca, CBC News, Regina.
Facebook's parent company has launched a new app called Threads to compete with Twitter. Meta says it has already amassed millions of new users in just one day. And that may not be great news for Twitter owner Elon Musk, who already faces criticism over unpopular changes he made after buying Twitter. Thomas Daigle reports.
It scrolls and reads and looks a lot like Twitter. From the owners of Facebook and Instagram, this new app may prove the Bluebirds' biggest threat yet.
A company with deep pockets like Meta is able to fund that app for a longer period of time. They can stick around and wait to see the use we put it for much more easily than a brand new startup.
Meet Threads, already purportedly boasting tens of millions of users only 24 hours after parent company Meta launched the app with this promise.
An open and friendly public space for conversations.
A shot aimed squarely at Twitter after users complained the platform has become darker, less curated, and clunkier ever since billionaire businessman Elon Musk took over, slashing staff and driving away advertisers with his outspoken persona.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Twitter rivals have appeared one after the other, none capturing as much instant attention as Threads, with big names like Oprah Winfrey, Shakira, and Tom Brady giving it star power right away.
The actual experience once you're on it, I would say, is mixed. I scrolled through the first 20 threads and I was like, I don't follow any of these people.
Luke Gordon-Field is editor-in-chief of the Canadian parody news site The Beaverton. Once known for its TV show,
it's federal election season.
The website relies on social media to attract its audience. They're now trying Threads to see if others will follow.
Your casual social media user is now hearing about it and being told this is the next thing, jump on over. Whether people stay is, I think, the big question.
Rumored to be facing each other in a cage match, these two are first squaring off in a head-to-head battle of the apps. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
A live look now of the concourse at Mosaic Stadium as crowds filter in. In less than an hour, the Riders will kick off against the Edmonton Elks. The Riders haven't won a game at home since last July, so they are looking to change their luck tonight. Ethan will have your forecast from the stadium after the break. Stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you by Titan Automotive, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now from a busy Mosaic Stadium.
Yes, and it's a special night here tonight, Sam. This is Throwback Thursday night for the Riders. So the Riders playing in retro jerseys. They've also had a couple of legends, Roger Aldag and Bob Poley, signing autographs too. Everyone getting pumped up to the retro tunes in here and wearing some retro shades. And the Northern Pikes will be taking the stage at halftime as well. Now the good news is, the most important thing is, the skies have stayed clear, and it looks like they are that way too. Let's take a look right now at our satellite and radar shot. And you saw that a little bit earlier this afternoon we did have some showers and thunderstorms in portions of the province, but those are beginning to die off now. We did have some severe thunderstorm warnings along the eastern border near Manitoba, but those have now come to an end. We take a look at our current temperatures. You can see that the province had a bit of a temperature gradient today. We're looking at a cold front dropping through kind of half of the province right now. Temperatures into the teens in the north, but in south and central we are still quite warm right now, where we are into the mid-20s. Nice football weather here in Regina. Now, in terms of the smoke in the province from forest fires, those have begun to die down, and it looks like as we go through the night tonight, we'll continue to see hazy conditions come to an end in much of south and central, but a little bit of smoke we'll be watching in the northern part of the province. Now, what's been bringing through those showers today is this cold front that you see here, but that will begin moving through tonight. And on the other side of that, on the other side of the showers, we're going to be a little bit cooler tomorrow in terms of our temperatures, as high pressure also starts to move in, and that means that we will be clearing out as well. And that is really going to be the story for Saturday too in south and central. A little bit of rain moving through the north as high pressure moves out on Saturday. That'll bring a few millimeters through. In terms of our winds, we are looking at things being fairly moderate tomorrow, especially as high pressure moves through the province. With that little bit of a system moving in on Saturday, that means that we will see winds pick up a little bit in the 40 to 50 range or so, especially in northern sections. Now, not a lot is going to change after tomorrow in terms of our weather, and that's because we have this big blocking pattern in our upper atmosphere, and we are seeing those hot temperatures in Ontario, Quebec. A bit of some warm weather from the west going to move our way, but we're kind of caught in between those two systems, and that is where we will stay as we take a look at our extended forecast for Regina. After a bit of a blip tomorrow, temperatures warming up, a bit breezy for Sunday, but then temperatures getting right back close to normal. Lots of sunny skies and warm overnight temperatures as we head into the beginning of next week. And Saskatchewan, we are looking for a similar picture for you. Again, a little bit below average tomorrow, but then the weekend, gorgeous. Temperatures getting back close to 30 degrees. Temperatures evening out as we head through the rest of the week. So if you're coming down here to the stadium tonight, Sam, it's just perfect. Haven't seen any rain clouds in the vicinity, which is good news.
All right, we'll see you after the show. Thanks, Ethan. Stay with us. We'll be back right after the break. A commemorative mass was held today in Lac-Mégantic, Quebec, just one of the events to mark the 10th anniversary of the rail disaster that left 47 people dead. It's one of the deadliest rail accidents in Canadian history. Sarah Levitt reports.
The day of commemoration began solemn and early. At around 1:15 a.m., the same time of the disaster, family, friends, and residents gathered to remember the lives lost. 10 years ago, July 6th, a train carrying 72 cars of crude oil came careening into town and exploded. It destroyed the downtown core. It would take days before authorities could confirm just how many lives had been lost. 47 in all.
I miss many things. I miss her smile. I miss her hug. And it's still in my mind every day, you know. But we have to live one step at a time, one day at a time.
Inside the town's church, a yearly tradition since the tragedy. And outside, the bells rang out. Over the years, the town has tried to rebuild, move forward. This is the heart of downtown, incinerated in the tragedy, just now starting to come back to life. This is also a memorial park. Silhouettes shaped as stars represent the victims. But moving forward hasn't been easy, especially when the very thing that caused such horror continues to run through the town. Every year since the tragedy, no trains pass on the anniversary, but every other day they do. There are plans to move the tracks to bypass the downtown core, but for some, more needs to be done over the safety of Canada's railways.
My first reaction was, well, this should change everything. And I can tell you now, after 10 years, it changed nothing.
Something like this could happen again?
Absolutely. If a track runs through your town or past your house, I would be concerned.
Both the federal government and the railway companies say things have improved in terms of safety, but the people here say not enough. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Lac-Mégantic, Quebec.
Well, high pressure tomorrow morning means that we will be sunny in Regina, looking at 16 degrees with nice light northeast winds. And by the time we get to the afternoon, our temperature will be around 21, and that actually will be pretty much where we're topping out in Regina. We're looking for a high of 23 under those sunny skies. Saskatchewan, a little bit more cloud cover tomorrow, looking at 15 degrees. But again, you'll benefit from those nice light winds with high pressure in place as well. Also sitting at 21 by the noon hour as well. Now for the game tonight, kickoff of course looking quite nice. For the end of the game, going to be quite warm as well, 18 degrees. A little bit of a wind as well, but overall the place is starting to fill up here at Mosaic Stadium, Sam, and we have a great night of weather and football ahead.
All right, thanks Ethan. And before we leave you tonight, baton twirlers from across Canada, including Saskatchewan, are competing for the title of Canadian champion in Edmonton this week. More than 200 athletes are spinning, tossing, and catching at the 2023 Baton Twirling Championship.
So baton is a really unique sport. It's dance and gymnastic based, so we're really looking for the technique in the dance movement and the gymnastic movements, as well as the technique and the proficiency of the manipulation of the baton. In some events, we're looking to see more dancing. Some events, we're looking to see the really big aerials where they're tossing the baton in the air, spinning multiple times, incorporating gymnastic moves like walkovers or cartwheel aerials multiple times underneath the baton. So this is a really great competition because we see those athletes that are really developing those skills, and then we get to see the elite athletes that have really mastered those skills. We generally are looking for a combination of the aerials, which is when they toss the baton, rolls, which is when the baton obviously is making contact and rolling on the arms and the elbows and the neck of the body, as well as contact. So that's when you see those really tight flips around the body that just kind of circle around the head and the shoulders. They receive a deduction in score when they do drop.
I love competing, I love to perform, but it is definitely nerve-wracking just because you put so much time and effort into practicing. You want to make sure those performances in front of the judges are perfect, and you want to do the best to your abilities. You could always make it your own. Everyone twirls very differently, and it's always beautiful no matter who it is or what they're doing, from what country. It's just a great sport.
Amazing. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Ethan and I will be back with more at 11. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.